Good evening and welcome to the 9 p.m. English News Edition coming to you live from RTD channel. And tonight, headlines are: President Ismail Omar Agili received the credentials of 8 newly appointed ambassadors at the presidential palace. And on the international front, Washington and Tehran announced a memorandum of understanding aimed at ending the conflict between the two countries. Those were the top stories, and welcome back in our newsroom. We begin tonight news with diplomacy as President Gile receives the credentials of 8 newly appointed ambassadors to Djibouti. President Ismail Omar Guelleh received today at the Presidential Palace the credentials of 8 newly appointed extraordinary and plenipotentiary ambassadors serving to the Republic of Djibouti by their respective countries. The diplomatic ceremony began with the presentation of credentials by the newly appointed ambassador of the Italian Republic, Mr. Keim Fabrizi. And during the meeting, the Italian diplomat reaffirmed his commitment to further strengthening the bonds of friendship and cooperation between Italy and Djibouti. He also expressed his appreciation to the head of state for Djibouti's commitment, continuous support to the Italian self-defense forces stationed in the country, particularly in their effort to combat maritime piracy in the region. President Guelleh then received the credentials of the new ambassador of the Kingdom of Denmark, Mr. Sun Kokstrup. The Danish diplomat expressed his determination to contribute to the development of bilateral relations and to enhance the cooperation between Djibouti and Denmark in areas of mutual interest, and continuing the diplomatic issues. The Danish diplomat did not fail to express his determination to serve the Republic of Djibouti. Continuing the diplomatic audiences, the President of the Republic welcomed the newly appointed Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Kingdom of Sweden, Mr. Carl Magnus. The Swedish ambassador highlighted the long-standing ties between the two countries and reaffirmed his willingness to work toward strengthening a bilateral cooperation between Sweden and Djibouti. To each of the new ambassadors, President Agile extended his welcome and conveyed his best wishes for success in carrying out their diplomatic mission in Djibouti. The presentation of these credentials reflects the quality of Djibouti's diplomatic relation with different countries. And the series of diplomatic meetings continue with the presentation of credentials by new African ambassadors appointed to Djibouti. The President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, received at the Presidential Palace the credentials of several newly appointed extraordinary and plenipotentiary ambassadors appointed to the Republic of Djibouti. The diplomatic audiences began with the presentation of credentials by the new ambassador of the Kingdom of Eswatini, Mr. Mahlaba Mamba. And during the meeting, the ambassador did not fail to convey to the head of state the greetings and wishes of success from the highest authorities of his country. And the discussion also focused on the relations of friendship and cooperation between Djibouti and the Kingdom of Eswatini, as well as a prospect for further strengthening bilateral ties in areas of common interests. The President of the Republic, President Ismail Omar Guelleh, welcomed the new ambassador and wished him success in carrying out his diplomatic mission in Djibouti. The President then received the credential of the newly appointed ambassador, extraordinary and plenipotentiary of the Republic of Equatorial Guinea, Mr. Miguel Ntutumu. And during the meeting, the Equatorial Guinean diplomat did not fail to express his commitment to further strengthen the bonds of friendship, cooperation, and exchanges between the two countries. He highlighted the importance of developing bilateral relations and exploring new areas of partnership of mutual interests.
en la República de Djibouti, así como la carta de retirada del embajador que me precede.
Also provided an opportunity to reaffirm the shared willingness of Djibouti and Equatorial Guinea to enhance cooperation and deepen ties between their countries. The diplomatic ceremony continued with the presentation of credentials by the new ambassador of the Republic of Namibia, Mr. Mbapua. The Namibian ambassador did not fail to express his commitment to working toward the further development of bilateral relations and consolidation of partnership and cooperation between Djibouti and Namibia in areas of mutual interest. The reception of these new ambassadors reflects Djibouti's continued commitment to expanding its diplomatic relation with different countries. In continuing the series of diplomatic ceremonies dedicated to the presentation of credentials by the newly appointed ambassador accredited to the Republic of Djibouti, President Agile received two new diplomatic representatives of the presidential palace. The head of state first welcomed the newly appointed ambassador of the Dominican Republic, Mr. Andy Rafael, who officially presented his credentials during the meeting. The Dominican diplomat expressed his commitment to actively contributing to the strengthening of friendship, cooperation, and partnership between the Dominican Republic and Djibouti. President Agile then received the credentials of the newly appointed ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary of the Kingdom of Thailand, Mr. Tanawat Sirikula. The ceremony officially marked the beginning of his diplomatic mission in Djibouti and highlighted the shared commitment of both countries to further strengthening bilateral cooperation and partnership between the two countries. Moving on to other news, Djibouti is taking part at the 51st annual meeting of the Islamic Development Bank held in Baku, Azerbaijan, with a high-level delegation led by the Minister of Economy and Finance in charge of Industry, Ilyas Musadawali. The participation aims to strengthen economic partnership and mobilize new sources of financing to support Djibouti's major development projects, particularly in the fields of infrastructure, energy, and industry. The Djiboutian delegation also includes the governor of the central bank, Ahmed Osman Ali, along with several senior officials and economic experts, held under the theme Regional Integration for Sustainable Prosperity. The 51st edition brings together representatives from 57 member countries of the Islamic Development Bank, as well as more than 2,000 participants from decision-making institutions, financial organization and development sectors. The event officially opened on Thursday this morning in the presence of Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev and the President of the Islamic Development Bank Group, Mohammed Suleiman Al-Jasir. The meeting continued with dialogue sessions and bilateral discussion focused on economic cooperation and strengthening regional investment opportunities. And on the sidelines of the Islamic Development Bank annual meeting in Baku, Djibouti's Minister of Economy and Finance in charge of Industry, Ilyas Musa Dawali, met with Dr. Abdul Hamid Al Khalifa, President of the OPEC Fund for International Development. Discussion focused on ongoing project financed by the fund in Djibouti, as well as future financing opportunities in key sectors, including infrastructure, energy, waters, and socio-economic development. The two sides also discussed ways and means to strengthen Djibouti's economic resilience in the face of current global challenges. We come back now to the country and we talk now with the incident outside Kempinski Palace Hotel. The Djibouti's prosecutor's office has announced the opening of an investigation following the publication on social media of videos showing a violent incident involving several young people outside the Kempinski Palace Hotel in Djibouti. Those people responsible for recording and showing the videos have been identified and arrested by the competent authorities. Legal proceedings are currently Underway, the prosecutor's office reminded the public that sharing violent content likely to harm people's dignity or disturb public order is punishable by law. Turning now to Atta region, where the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud, the MINFOP, in partnership with the Qatar Charity, held a groundbreaking ceremony for the extension works of Sheikh Farah and Bahour primary schools located in the sub-prefecture of the Merjoug Atta region. Upon arrival, the minister and the accompanying delegation were warmly welcomed by the prefect of Atta region, Hassan Dabli, the deputy prefect of Demerjoug, as well as local residents. The ceremony brought together several officials, including the Director General of Qatar Charities Office in Djibouti, Mrs. Gada Izzeddin Ahmed, Qatar's Chargé d'Affaires Sultan Ben Jaber, members of parliament representing the Merjoug, senior MINFOP officials and residents of Sheikh Farah and Bahour. The extension project aims to address population growth and the increasing number of students in these areas by expanding school capacity and providing children with a safer and more sustainable learning environment. The initiative is part of MINFOP ongoing effort to ensure equal access to quality education across the country, particularly in rural and remote areas. Minister Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud highlighted the importance of ongoing education reforms and reaffirmed the authorities' commitment to investing in education sector in order to reduce disparities and provide equal opportunities for all students. Taking the floor, the Director General of Qatar Charity Office in Djibouti, Gada Izzeddin Ahmed, stated that the extension project of Sheikh Farah and Bahour primary schools reflect the organization's commitment to supporting the education sector and improving learning conditions for students. She did not fail to emphasize that Qatar Charity continues to implement a development project aimed at supporting communities and promoting human development, highlighting that investment in education remains a key priority for building a better future for future generations. Meanwhile, the prefect of Atta region, Hassan Dabali, welcomed the launch of the extension works at Sheikh Farah and Bahour primary school, noting that the project responds to the growing needs of local communities due to the increase in student numbers. He did not fail to emphasize that the initiative will contribute to improving learning conditions for students and strengthening educational services in rural areas of Atta region. For his part, the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud, highlighted that the extension of Sheikh Farah and Bahour primary school represent an important step toward improving learning conditions and ensuring wider access to quality education. He stated that the project responds to the growing needs resulting from demographic change and the steady increase in student numbers in these localities. The minister stressed that investment in educational infrastructure, particularly in rural and remote areas, reflect the authorities' commitment to reducing disparities and providing equal opportunities for all students. Moving on now to the transport sector, where the government has launched a support program for public transport operators. Facing rising fuel prices, the Djiboutian government has launched a support program aimed at assisting public transport operators and reducing the impact of higher fuel costs on their activities. And as part of the implementation of this initiative, the Minister of Transport, in coordination with the Ministry of Energy, carried out a nationwide registration process of taxi vehicles operating across the country. The operation made it possible to identify eligible beneficiaries and ensure a fair distribution of the assistance. The distribution of beneficiary cards began this afternoon at the headquarters of the taxi union in the presence of sector representatives, including the union's president and officials, as well as a representative of transport professionals. Still with the national news, the Financial Application Center of the Ministry of Budget, in partnership with EFD and Expertise France, awarded certificates today in Djibouti to participants who completed a training program on combating economic informality. The initiative is part of the Djiboutian government effort to strengthen economic and financial governance, promote the formalization of economic activities, and improve monitoring, control, and analysis mechanism within productive sectors. The ceremony was attended by the director of the Financial Application Center, Abdelrazak Khaire, representative of Expertise France, the trainers who led the session, and all beneficiaries. Led by expert Anne-Claire Jarry and Hassan Mohamed Ige, the training provided participants with both theoretical and practical knowledge on the characteristic of the informal economy, methods of identifying undeclared activities, data collection analysis tools, as well as strategies to encourage the gradual integration of informal actors into the formal sector. Taking the floor, the director of the Financial Application Center, Abdelrazak Khaire, stated that this training reflects the Ministry of Budget's commitment to strengthening the skills and capacities of relevant officials in order to better understand the challenges related to the informal economy. He did not fail to explain that the initiative aims to provide participants with effective technical tools to identify, analyze, and help reduce undeclared economic activities while supporting the gradual integration of informal actors into the formal sector. Djibouti launched a new project to strengthen climate risk management. The Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development, in partnership with the Global Water Partnership, officially launched a project aimed at strengthening climate risk management during a ceremony held today at the Sheraton Hotel in Djibouti. The opening ceremony was chaired by Dini Omar Abdallah, Secretary General of the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development, and the presence of Dr. Sarah Tuzi, Coordinator of Global Water Partnership, along with the representative from public institutions, technical and financial partners, civil society, organizations, and stakeholders involved in climate-related issues. The project aims to strengthen national capacities in climate risk prevention, adaptation, and management. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development, Dini Abdallah, highlighted the importance of this initiative in supporting national climate adaptation policies and strengthening environmental security in Djibouti. He stated that the project will help enhance national capacities in climate risk prevention, anticipation, and management while improving the resilience of vulnerable communities and sectors affected by extreme climate events. He finally emphasized the importance of cooperation among national institutions, development partners, and stakeholders to address climate challenges and promote sustainable development. And on the global stage, and concerning the Iran-US conflict on the 111th day of the war involving the United States and Israel against Iran, Tehran announced the official signing of a memorandum of understanding between U.S. President Donald Trump and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, according to the Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson. The agreement also includes provisions related to Lebanon, reaffirming respect for its territorial integrity and sovereignty. The website Axios reported that the U.S. President signed a copy of the agreement during a dinner with the French President at the Palace of Versailles in Paris. We move now to football news with the highlight from the 2026 World Cup nations, where France and England impressed, while Portugal were held to a draw by the Democratic Republic of Congo. The second weeks of the 2026 World Cup delivered several exciting clashes with convincing wins for France and England, while Portugal were held to a draw by the DRC. So that's it for tonight's news. So thanks for being with us. Stay tuned for more on RTD channel.